Grass campaigner Adam Senanu on this particular matter. Many thanks for your time this morning. Now, are you excited about the president?
Well, it is in principle, but in its current form, it hasn't served the purpose for purpose. Many of us in the space have talked about at least two elements that need to be proved. One, verification of the assets as capital or documentation.
Now, President Mahama has indeed emphasized that he will be strengthening the asset declaration regime. From where you sit, what could be the policy focus and guidance for government when it comes to strengthening the asset declaration regime?
Well, I just mentioned two of them. We need to make sure that when captured, these assets are verified. Verified could be what has been inflated or be there. And then publication, even our sister country Nigeria already publicizes so that any citizen can go and cross-check and confirm in things. So perhaps we might own the current region.
Edison, thank you so much for speaking with us here on GHOne. But then after the submission of the forms to the Auditor General had some few words to share as well.
Any blank spaces, whether you have not left your bank balances. Some may list all the banks that they have, but there will be no balances at it, and we will call you to come and redo it. That's the extent to which we do this. If you say you have 10 bank accounts and you bring it to us, how are we to be sure that indeed it is only 10 bank accounts that you have? If you say you have 2 buildings, what can we do to ensure that it is exactly the 2 buildings that you have? So reviewing the constitution, as His Excellency has said, I think it's a very, very important issue.
Imported goods from the port led to an auction where the items were sold for a mere 100,000 Ghana cedis, approximately $6,000, only for the company to repurchase them. $300,000. This financial blunder orchestrated fraud is a blatant misuse of public resources that demands immediate investigation and
500 containers stuck there and stranded. And as they stay there, it attracts a lot of penalties and demurrage. And yesterday the briefing I got is that
the Attorney General, the office was investigated, people must be arrested, and they do these things. They just bring out the money and they say, okay, then we should let them go. No, let them face prosecution for it. It is also a cause of an loss to the state, and we cannot continue on the same time.
Now, Derek, let's look at this. You want immediate action. The government is going through a process to get all the facts and do all the. You, as a citizen, could also put your findings together and take it to the special prosecutor if you want an immediate action. That's not to say that that call is not is out of place. But then, from where you sit as a CSO, as IES, what have you done so far in respect of the matter?
And so, as a CSO, as at yesterday when the minister broke the news, as we are actually been discussing now, is that we've added our cost to it. And so we are also equally hammering the point that the government, as a matter of agency, needs to take immediate steps. These are things that have been discussed. These are things that have kept from the public. We've had various ministers. There was a minister responsible for energy sector. There was no issue of this sort. But there is somebody who has just taken or assumed office and is bringing out this kind of expose. So what it means is that there might have been several of these issues, but who knows? For lack of information, for inadequate access to this information, these things have been kept away from the public. And so these are not good governance practices or principles. And so for now, as a CSO, we also add our cost to it. So we give them a maximum 48 hours, 24 hours response, 48 hours. Let's see the actions. Other than that, we might also probably have to activate the RTI bill and then see whether we can get more information. Because in anything, if you want to prosecute, you need to also make available to them all the various petition them as a CSO or as individual. But we might not even have those authorities or the various backing. But they are the ones who hold the authority. let them investigate. They should call the shots. They know who are involved, whether it is from the boss, whether it is from ECG, whether it is from that private individual. How can you auction something at 100,000 Ghana cedis and ECG couldn't take advantage of it, but sell it back to ECG at 50 times the price of the auction of it? How is that possible? This is more or less like an organized or a deluded crime or an insider trading. And insider trading is a bad thing. It's a bad governance principle. And so definitely it's what we can do, add our voice to it, and see whether the state institutions will act. And if they don't act, then we know how best to go about it.
Now, Derek, I would want you to hold on, since we're talking about ECG and even its operations and largely the power system of the country. Some Ghanaians are already expressing frustration because over some time they've been experiencing some erratic power supply and they are demanding answers from the authorities. For them, they believe that it would be prudent.
Actually, also explain it to a little bit, not too much like that, like before, yeah. But we are just hoping that the government can do something about it before it gets worse like before. Because I quite remember yesterday, I went to an area like Amasamai, Pukwase, Israel, Tabora, La Paz, and part of La Paz. Race Cross, they all have
around 12 a.m. and then he came this morning. But normally they used to off it around in the evening around 6, and then it will come 12 a.m. But this time they've changed it from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m.
It's not like doom sort and but like face off. I call off. Then some lines go off. It's not doom so as such. Yeah.
First we'll be sleeping, then off, unless the next day or maybe 6 o'clock in the morning. By this time, the last time we had, it was 5 o'clock, then 11 o'clock we had light, so we were able to sleep. So I think it's better.
Oh, me ya hware me ntijun so biasa. So mo se jun so de se crofo fashion sun se ma ye we nsuo nto nsuo no akoso bodam na ba fom. E ba fom no enya ade a light no e be so de biasa. Because some of the pressure ya anhwe nyina ye bewu Ghana ha. Eja beto Ghana ha.
Very, so these are some of the thoughts and comments of some Ghanaians here in Accra about the fact that they've had to suffer power loss over some nights and some days. What we have in Ghana now is not a problem of generation. We have the capacity. The differentiation between that capacity and installed capacity is a subject matter for another time. But then they are asking for authorities to come clear. Are we suffering any power challenges? We know from the start of the year that WAPCO going off the line means we need gas, and government provided that. Is there any other indication, because you are in the field, that really there is a challenge with our power sector?
All right, and so power outage is not a pleasant thing. Me as a person and the Ghanaians as a whole, it's never a good thing for anybody to experience. It affects businesses, livelihoods, and a whole lot of other things. It increases the cost of production, and so Ghanaians on any day will not be pleasant with so or power outages. But what happens is that there must be a proper and clear communication. People must be more transparent with the stakeholders or the consumers of power for us to be able to plan our lives and livelihoods so that we know that, okay, at this particular point in time, this is a challenge, and so we are going to experience power outages or not. What we have heard from the energy minister is that, one, aside the WAPCO going on maintenance, they were able to procure some light goods. But recently, car power is also undergoing some sort of challenges. Some of them got to be financial challenges and then other maintenance work. So the issue with ECG or the issue with power sector assistance right now are basically purely financial issues. The financial issues is that we are owing basically all those in the value chain. We don't have the money to also pay them. It also affects their operations. And so some of them, even when there's a need for them to undergo some maintenance, which is more mandatory, they have to postpone or defer. But now, the minister is also engaging the stakeholders. And so what I believe, as a matter of urgency, is that PURC must engage ECG to be able to come out with a clear communication or transparent way for Ghanaians to understand exactly what is happening. Whether there's a need for them to get a timetable, whether there's a need for a timetable, how can we communicate to them so that they know those in a new leadership. For now, they are also acting. We hold them accountable, and we expect that they'll be more transparent and communicate better for Ghanaians to have that satisfaction. Power outages is not a good thing, but let Ghanaians be aware, explain to them, and Ghanaians will be able to appreciate that you are making efforts to be able to solve it.
Big thanks for speaking with us here. Derek Emmanuel Hache is a research and policy analyst with the Institute for Energy Security. Away from that, the former Deputy Education Minister, Reverend Tim Fojo, has questioned the worthiness of the National Education Forum organized by the government. According to him, the forum is a waste of time and they will only rehash promises from their manifesto. That's the government's manifesto. The National Education Forum discussions begins today, February 18, 2025, and will culminate in a two-day validation conference on Thursday, February 27th, here in Accra. The sessions will kick off, and it's kicking off in Ho, the capital of the Volta region, followed by the first zonal engagement for the Volta and Oti regions before expanding to other regions. Speaking to Nadedi Tate on Star FM earlier, the former Deputy Education Minister said he finds the forum really a waste of resources and argued that it will not bring any new strategic plan for the education sector.
All of them were included in the stakeholder consultation, including about 80% of the members who have been forming their planning committee. They were all part in formulating the education strategic plan that spanned from 2018 to 2030. It's a 12-year strategic plan, broad and brilliant, benchmark with best practices across the world, touching on issues from kindergarten all the way to tertiary. It's to become the guiding policy principle for various successive governments to also tweak it with their unique initiatives and run on. And every year. So the question I'm asking is this National Education Forum going to set aside that education strategic plan? And if not, are they going to do something new? And what new are they going to do? If it is going to be a new thing, how new and different is that new policy direction from the promises contained in the NDC manifesto? And so if they are going to come up to just show how they will operationalize the same manifesto promises, then it's going to be a waste of resources, because then we didn't need that to happen. But if it is going to be a completely new thing they are going to propose away from ESP and away from the promises contained in President Mahama's manifesto, then people have asserted that it's going to be an avenue for President Mahama to take a U-turn, find safe haven under the guise of stakeholders to say, oh, I promised free tertiary for all first years, I promised private school free SHS for all, I promised to cancel double track run with that. Then there's going to be an excuse and an avenue to renege on his promises.
Still on matters of education, following the announcement by Education Minister Haruna Idrisu on Monday, the association, which formed an integral part of pre-tertiary education in the country, was scrapped by the former Education Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh during the first term of the erstwhile Akufo-Addo administration. However, speaking at the schools in the Okaikwe South constituency, the Tamale South MP said in the past, PTAs, as the parent-teacher associations, played a crucial role in contributing to quality education standards and discipline, hence the reintroduction.
I am particularly happy to announce that under the presidency of Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to work for parents and teachers to work together to improve learning outcomes in our educational institutions, and for PTAs to support our educational institutions to produce quality human capital for our country.
Acting to this, immediate former public relations officer for the Education Ministry, Kwesi Kwarteng, argued that the Education Minister, now Haruna Idrisu, will not be introducing anything new because the association already exists, but in a different form.
The previous government, what we had was that, yes, we came to meet PTA in that form, but we restructured, we didn't abolish it. But it was restructured to be only PA, which is Parents Association, because with the PTA is an association, but in an association where only every time it has to do with surcharging and parents only paying money, and to the extent that even students had to suffer academically for it when their parents refuse or fail to pay money, we felt that no, there should be only Parents Association, which still makes voluntary contributions and support the schools. But he's talking about PTA. So if he talks about PTA, I'm sure then he's still going to then restructure it back to the old format, where he may then still have to bring the teachers component along. Because see, teachers have their own association. If the argument is that parents are coming on board, then parents will also have their own association, and voluntarily that helps the school. But the one that we had, you realize that at every point, I mean, most of these associations, it was sometimes the headmaster and one teacher who were signatories to accounts, and I don't want to go into those issues, but issues of finance, embezzlement, and those things were creating problems for the schools. Right. There's the more reason why we only maintain the PAs. So when he talks about reintroducing it, I bet to say he's not introducing anything new. Okay. Because it's already there, just that it was in different form. Okay. But for the national standardized test, he had it wrong. Because it is not a new thing that he's coming to introduce. All right. It was conducted in 2021, 2023, and 2020.
Let's get back to governance. And here, the Eastern Regional Minister, Rita Agyabeng, is currently stranded as the official residential accommodation being renovated remains unfinished nearly 3 years after the renovation work began. The contractor has abandoned site. The minister is currently perching in a private residence with her aides. The head of works and the Regional Coordinating Council blames the situation on lack of funds to complete the project. Eastern Regional Correspondent GHOne reports.
A visit to the residency revealed that the contractor has abandoned sites of the project due to lack of funds. Other facilities at the residency, including the visitors' lodge, the deputy minister's residence, are all in a state of disrepair, left dusty and abandoned for many years. Emmanuel Godfred, head of works at the Eastern Regional Coordinating Council, confirmed that the project has stalled due to lack of funds.
The main challenge has been our financial situation, because when the contractor came, he was not given even mobilization. He started with his own money, and he has worked up to the stage that we find it there. And so this is the situation in which we find ourselves.
As a result, the Eastern Regional Minister, Rita Agyabeng, who assumed office on February 4, 2025, has been left stranded without official accommodation. The minister is currently staying in a private residence she hired herself until official accommodation is ready.
For the past 2 weeks, I have been there, and this is the second week, and maybe I don't know what will happen in the next week. We are praying that the place over here, the 2-bedroom here, will be completed.
During a visit to assess the condition of the residency, the minister told journalists that she chose to stay in a private facility rather than a hotel to save taxpayers' money.
I could have opted for a hotel, but if I look at the cost of the hotel and the coffers or the economic status of Ghana now, it will be a burden on the country and the region as well.
This is not the first time an Eastern Regional Minister has faced such accommodation challenges. Former Minister Seth Kwame Achampon also
The borders to the east, so we move from the eastern region to the greater Accra region. And here, a major issue for drivers at night is the total darkness that engulfs the city due to malfunctioning street lights. Here's what the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Lindo Klu, had to say about solving the problem during the first engagement with the media.